family had your ex-husband killed to try to help you, didn't they?
No, that's completely untrue.
We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1 of the indictment, first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. Mrs. Adelson, control yourself.
The tragic death of Dan Markel
was shot twice in the head at his home in Tallahassee, Florida, back in 2014.
who was dead because he wanted to be with his children.
November 2023, Miami International Airport. Donna Adelson, a wealthy 73-year-old grandmother, is moments away from boarding a one-way flight to Dubai. But as she reaches the gate, the handcuffs click. Her escape plan has just hit a dead end. What led a prominent Florida family of dentists and lawyers to orchestrate the cold-blooded execution of a law professor? This wasn't just a murder. It was a 9-year chess game between a powerful family and the FBI. From secret wiretaps to a $1 million hit and a daughter who remains the ultimate mystery. Today, we dive deep into the Adelson family house of cards.
I want to ask you about your ex-husband, Daniel Markel. Is that a fair and accurate photo of Mr. Markel?
Yes.
When did you meet him?
We met originally online. It must have been the fall of my first year of law school, so 2003.
Okay. And when did you marry Mr. Markel?
We married in February of 2006.
Dan Markel was a brilliant 41-year-old law professor at Florida State University. A Harvard graduate and a respected legal scholar, he was at the peak of his career. In 2006, he married Wendi Adelson, who was then a 27-year-old clinical law professor herself. On the surface, they were the ultimate legal power couple, young, successful, and living the American dream in Tallahassee.
And how many children did you have with Mr. Markel?
We have 2 children.
What were their ages at the time of their father's death?
It was 10 days before my older son's 5th birthday, so he was 4 turning 5, and our younger son was 3.5. The boys are 14 months apart.
But Wendi wasn't just a lawyer. She was part of a powerful Miami dynasty. Her father, Harvey, and her brother, Charlie, ran a multi-million-dollar dental practice. Her mother, Donna, was the glue that held the family together, and, as we would later find out, the one who pulled the strings. The Adelsons were wealthy, influential, and fiercely protective of their own. But when Dan and Wendi's marriage began to crumble after 6 years, that protection turned into a deadly obsession.
And did there come a time when you and Mr. Markel separated?
Yes.
When was the separation?
It was in the fall of 2012.
Whose decision was it to separate?
It was mine.
How did your ex take that news?
Well, we talked about it many times before it actually happened, but when the separation became official, he was very upset.
Wendi Adelson and Dan Markel seemed like the perfect legal power couple. But behind closed doors, their marriage was a ticking time bomb. When Wendi filed for divorce, she didn't just want a split, she wanted a relocation. She wanted to move their 2 sons 450 miles away to Miami to be with her family. But Dan said no. And in the state of Florida, the law was on his side.
Were you involved in any way in the plot to kill your ex-husband?
Absolutely not.
Did you know it was going to happen, but maybe not know the details?
I knew nothing.
Is that why you went to the crime scene on the day of the homicide?
I did not go to the crime scene on the day of the homicide.
Do you know who all was involved in the murder?
Well, I learned today, but at the time, no.
The legal battle was brutal. Dan Markel was winning, and the Adelson family was losing control. Donna Adelson, the matriarch, was furious. She couldn't accept that a lawyer from Tallahassee was dictating where her grandsons would live. In a series of desperate emails to her daughter, Donna suggested a chilling incentive. She proposed offering Dan $1 million to simply walk away and let Wendi take the kids to Miami. It was a buyout attempt for a father's rights. But Dan Markel wasn't interested in the money. He wanted his sons. And that's when the conversation in the Adelson household shifted from legal fees to life insurance.
Have you ever privately confronted your brother about his role or possible role in the murder?
My attorney has advised me not to have conversations with anyone in my family about the case.
But you had a close relationship with your brother at the time of the murder, right?
I absolutely had a close relationship with my brother.
You suspected your brother could have been a part of this, right?
I suspected lots of people could have been a part of it.
But he was one of the people, right?
While I was talking with law enforcement for 6 hours, terrified out of my mind, I offered them every possible idea I could come up with.
Right, and one of the possible ideas was that your brother could have murdered your child's father.
I didn't really believe that was possible.
When did you first become aware that you might be a suspect in this case?
I mean, as the ex-wife, I assumed I was a suspect from the beginning.
What was your first thought when you were asked if anyone might have murdered Dan Markel for your benefit?
I thought, oh my God, maybe if I hadn't divorced him, he would still be alive. Maybe this is my fault because I complained to the wrong person. Maybe Danny gave a student a bad grade and they came after him. I just was trying to think of who possibly could have wanted to hurt him.
But you didn't say any of that before. I mean, the first thing you said was Charlie, right? Page 25 of your interview, line 5 through 15. Do you have any reason to dispute? Page 25, not 5 hours into it. You say Charlie might have done it, right? Page 25, line 5 through 15. I mean, my brother, the one, his name is Charlie, the one I'm really close to. He makes a lot of jokes in that taste, and it was a joke he made. He bought the TV for me this morning that got broken, and then I was talking to him about whether it made sense to pay or fix it, or whether I should get a new one. And it was always his joke that, he knew that Danny always treated me badly, and it was always his joke. He said, I looked into hiring a hitman, and it was cheaper to get you this TV, so instead I got you this TV. Do you want the culpable parties held accountable for murdering the father of your children?
Absolutely. I'm grateful they're already in jail.
But not if it's your family.
It's not my family.
I mean, somebody hired him, right?
Not necessarily.
Somebody paid him.
I learned something this morning.
Yeah, me too.
Enter Charlie Adelson, Wendi's brother. In the family, he was known as the maestro, the one who could fix any problem. Charlie had a girlfriend at the time, Catherine Magbanua, who had connections to a world the Adelsons knew nothing about. Through Catherine, Charlie reached out to two hitmen, Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera. The price for Dan Markel's life? A fraction of that $1 million. The plan was set for July 18th, 2014, a day that would change the Adelson family legacy from a dental empire to a criminal syndicate.
What were the terms of the offer? How much was it for?
The offer was for $1 million to have him move down south to South Florida with my sister and the boys, and that would afford him enough money that he could easily commute to his job in Tallahassee.
How were you involved in this idea?
Not super involved, but I definitely said to my parents, I said, I will help, and I will pay a third of that $1 million. And when Wendi one day starts making real money, she's able to, I want to be paid back.
Did you ever talk with Catherine Magbanua about that $1 million offer?
Yes, I did.
And what do you remember telling her?
The same thing I told everybody else. Is it came up when she was asking me about, doesn't your sister want to move back home? And I said, yeah. I said, we tried everything we could. We even offered Danny $1 million to moved back to South Florida, and it didn't work.
When Charlie Adelson finally took the stand, he offered a story that no one saw coming. He didn't deny that his girlfriend, Catherine Magbanua, was involved, but he claimed he was a victim too. Charlie argued that Catherine had orchestrated the hit on Dan Markel without his knowledge, using her own criminal connections. According to Charlie, once the murder was done, Catherine and the hitmen began extorting him for money. He claimed he only paid them because he was terrified for his own life. It was a bold move. Charlie was trying to paint himself not as a mastermind, but as a scared brother caught in a deadly trap. But the jury wasn't buying it.
Why did you call her?
To see if she was still planning on coming over, and what time she was going to be there, because it was already like 10:15. When she arrived to my house, she came in through the garage, entered into the kitchen from the side door like she always does, and she just looked panicked and upset. I mean, she walked straight in and gives me this big tight hug and asked me, like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, just a horrible day." But she looked more upset than I've ever seen her. I'm like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "No, I'm not." I'm like, "What's wrong?" She's like, "Just come sit down. I need to talk to you." And she said, "Listen, this is all my fault, but I had no idea anything was going to happen, but this is totally my fault. I spoke in too much detail about your family's personal problems, about your sister, Dan Markel, and the $1 million offer."
What did you say?
I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "My friend killed Dan."
What happened next?
I stood up, and she's like, "No." I'm like, who did this? Who's your friend that did this? And she's like, "I don't want to say. I can't say." And I said, who was it? And she just kept saying, "I'm not going to tell you." And I was like, was it Sigfredo? And she's like, "No, I'm not telling you." And I just walked in my bedroom. "If you don't pay in 48 hours, they will kill you." And I said, "Katie, I feel like I'm getting extorted now."
How did she respond to that?
She got really mad at me. She got angry, and she's like, "Look, this." She's like, "It's my fault for running my mouth the way I did, but I'm not extorting you. Like, I'm trying to help you." So she's like, she goes, "What are you going to do? You're going to go to the police?" She goes, "You go to the police, they'll kill you."
Why didn't you kick her out?
I was in the state of shock, and I didn't think she had anything to do with it. I didn't even want to believe that she had anything to do with it.
The jury didn't buy Charlie's story. In a matter of hours, they returned with a verdict that changed everything. Guilty on all counts. But as Charlie headed to prison for life, the matriarch of the family, Donna Adelson, was already making her next move. Just 1 week after the verdict, the FBI intercepted a phone call that revealed Donna was looking at options. Those options weren't legal appeals. They were one-way tickets to Vietnam. On November 13th, 2023, Donna and her husband Harvey were at Miami International Airport, standing at the gate just minutes away from boarding a flight to Dubai. They thought they were escaping justice forever. But the law was one step ahead. In a dramatic scene captured on body cam, Donna Adelson was surrounded by federal agents and taken into custody. The woman who once orchestrated $1 million plot to buy her grandson's future was now in handcuffs, facing the same fate as her son. The Adelson empire had officially fallen.
Your cell phone? No, I don't want to give it to you. Why do I have to?
Because my attorney said not to.
Why do I have to give it to you? This is evidence. Evidence. She's under arrest. I have to go with you. I have to go. I have to look at you. You don't have to go with me. Let me help you out. No, I have to stay. Please don't do this. Don't stay. You need to grab the bags. Take the bags. Yeah. And you need to wait outside. Okay.
My husband's almost 80 years old. He can't
Yeah,
come
I
with
can't.
me.
Please, can I help you? No, you can't join me there. Oh, don't do this, please.
Please.
Oh,
Someone's got
God.
to help him get home. This is terrible. You can't do this. This is insane.
Hold on to that for me. Is that okay with you? Please. Yeah, but I'm gonna get a driver's license for it. Yeah.
And the license, the address on your license is correct?
Yes.
She needs all her. When she goes to the jail, they work in conjunction with the hospital.
They're all in here though.
Yes, they work. If I take them here, what will happen is when you go there, they possibly toss them out. So when you go to there, you will meet the nurse and the doctor, and then they'll work in conjunction with the hospital to get you whatever you need.
Yeah, but I don't have a list with me. I know what's.
Yes.
I have a. Give me 1 moment, please. Hold the body. 1 moment.
Thank you.
Please. Just be careful of your head. I will sit first. You sit in. Perfect. Thank you. Yeah.
The flight to Vietnam was grounded, and Donna Adelson's life of freedom was officially over. She was extradited back to Tallahassee, the very city she had tried so hard to leave behind. Gone were the designer clothes and the luxury travel, replaced by a prison jumpsuit and a heavy silence. As she walked into that courtroom, the reality finally set in. She wasn't just a grandmother anymore. She was a defendant facing the ultimate price for a decade of secrets. The prosecutors were ready, the evidence was undeniable, and the world was watching. It was time for Donna Adelson to face the verdict.
Having reviewed the verdict form, it is in its proper order. At this time, I will publish the verdict. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1 of the indictment, first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. Mrs. Adelson, control yourself. Count 2. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 2 of the indictment, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Count 3. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 3 of the indictment, solicitation to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of solicitation to commit first-degree murder. And it is signed and dated by the foreperson. On count 1 of the indictment for first-degree murder, you are hereby sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole or release. On count 2 of the indictment, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, you are hereby sentenced to 30 years in the Department of Corrections that will run consecutive to count 1. The court will also sentence you to 30 years in the Department of Corrections on count 3. Counts 2 and 3 are to run concurrent with each other, but consecutive to count 1.
The Adelson conspiracy stands as a chilling reminder of how a family's obsession can lead to its absolute destruction. Today, justice has finally caught up with almost everyone involved. The hitmen, Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera, are behind bars, one for life and the other serving 19 years after turning witness. Their connection to the family, Catherine Magbanua, is also facing a lifetime in prison. As for the Adelsons themselves, Charlie is serving life without parole, and his mother Donna has now joined him, sentenced to spend the rest of her days in a Florida prison following her 2024 conviction. Yet, the story isn't fully closed. While Harvey Adelson remains uncharged and Wendi continues to walk free, the world is left wondering, is this the end of the road, or is the FBI just getting started with the rest of this dynasty? Let me know in the comments, who do you think is the next to fall? Don't forget to subscribe to Verdict Prime for more. I'm out.